Welcome to the CMN Church Planting Podcast. My name is Aaron Burke, and this is a podcast for church planners, church leaders, church multipliers, and it is exciting to hear the response from y'all over the last few months since these podcasts have been rolling out of how we're helping you get better. I hope the content's been value added. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this. If you're watching on YouTube, put a comment in there to just let us know what is speaking to you. What upcoming topics would you like to talk about? And I hope it's getting you better, your teams better. And that's why we do this thing. And if you are unfamiliar with CMN, we are the Church Multiplication Network. We are the church planting arm of the Assemblies of God, where we are helping churches. A healthy church and every community is our goal. And I'm here today with Jason Patterson, one of the great church planners and leaders in the United States, planted about 7 years ago, right outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, and Fishers. And so I'm excited to have a conversation with you. I want you to tell us your church planting journey. And then we're going to get into a lot of things about team and staffing. It'll be a great conversation today. So Jason, welcome. Glad you're here. A big fan of what God's done in your life. Give us a little bit of your story. Why'd you plant?
Yeah, man. I mean, my start in ministry was as an evangelist. So traveled and spoke for almost 15 years. And God had put pastoring and planting in my heart. It was just a timing issue of like, when are we going to do this? And my wife, she got her doctorate in biomedical research. And
so your wife is really smart.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what that means, what I just said about what she does. But she is, I'm biased. I'm very biased, but she is genuinely a genius. So hope all three of my kids got mom's brains.
Yeah.
And so when she finished up her doctorate at OU, we felt like this is a natural transition point. Didn't know where we were going to go, just started praying. God led us, long story short, God led us to the Indianapolis area. And so we moved there in November of 2015, had a small team of people move in like the first 6 to 9 months of 2016. We did pre-launch September of 2016 and grand opening in 2017. So
wow.
Yeah, 7.5 years, man. It's been crazy. You know, we got 3 years in and then COVID happened. So That was fun. Did you
start portable?
Yeah. And we still are portable.
Still are portable.
New facility, been in 2 places. So the first 5.5 years were in a middle school.
Okay.
And even our pre-launch. So our pre-launch season was in the same facility that we launched in, which was great. And then we were there, had an awesome relationship. I don't have a horror story for you on facilities. We had storage on site. Come on, Jesus.
Yes.
We didn't tell them.
It's funny though that because we've had multiple church planners on, and people that are listening that are not church planners, when they hear phrases like we had on-site storage and we're all excited, they're like, why do people get excited about this?
Man.
They don't know the pain of the trailer and the backing that trailer up and the portable carts. It's a big deal.
We never let on how freaking excited we were about that. I mean, we were losing our minds. And I was like, they didn't realize I would have paid out the nose for that closet.
Oh, absolutely.
It was at the back of the stage.
Yep.
Just open the doors. It was unbelievable. So great relationship there. Again, kind of long story short, actually our local YMCA reached out to us and said, would you have any interest in partnering with us to help us meet the spiritual needs of our staff and members? And I was like, well, let me pray about it. Yeah. I would love to have a conversation with you about that. So met with them. And so now we have the opportunity to utilize their facility. And so our pastors are chaplains at that YMCA. Wow. We have a phenomenal relationship. The favor of God has been all over it. I mean, and you know this, like you need vision, you need strategy, you need team, you need all of that, but you cannot beat the favor of God.
Yes.
You cannot outdo the favor of God. And just genuinely, it has been a really encouraging season for us to just see God open these doors and the relationship we have there. And so it's incredible. So we have a multi-million-dollar facility now at the YMCA that we have access to, not just on Sundays, but during the week. And we have an open opportunity to minister to the 400 staff members and 34,000 members at that YMCA. Wow. So we have a multi-million-dollar facility for less than the cost of a one-bedroom apartment in our community every month. And there are, on average, about 1,800 people a day who walk through the doors of that facility.
That is unbelievable. How have y'all seen that relationship build the local church?
So it has been, our visibility went through the roof,
Yep.
and our sign is on their sign. Like,
Wow.
so on the street
Great.
now, that location is the Fishers YMCA. It's also Parkside Church. We have signage up. We can advertise anything we want in their newsletters, on their TVs. It's honestly, like, I could just kind of go on, and it just is all crazy. It's all ridiculous. So we have people show up. Our service starts at 10:30. The Y opens at 11. But for some strange reason, Y members don't know when the Y opens, so they just show up on almost weekly. People
Wow.
show up, and so we've had people who came to work out who just came to just literally sit in our service because they were like, I mean, well, I'll just join you for service. And then we've had people who stayed until 11 when the Y opened and popped out and went to work out. We've had other people who just stayed to the end of the service. We had one couple, hadn't been in church in years, and they walked into the Y to work out. It was closed. They were like, okay, we're going to stay. They came to church. It's Phil and Trinity are their names. And just about 6 weeks ago, we baptized Trinity.
Come on.
Yeah, man. So we've seen it. We've seen not just Y members, and honestly, we have multiple staff now from the YMCA that are coming, and it just bit by bit, God just keeps bringing people in and opening doors. And also, though, that increased our visibility in the community. So it's not just the growth we're seeing from the members or staff from the YMCA, it's increased, from the community. That middle school was phenomenal, but not all facilities are equally well placed.
Yep.
And, it was kind of back on a kind of odd street that unless you were going to one of the neighborhoods on that street or that particular school, you would never take that street. So the visibility wasn't super high. So that was kind of a struggle for us. But this has been phenomenal.
All right, let's talk about teams. Let's talk about staff.
Let's do it.
I think it'd be awesome. Like, I know there's a lot of church planners. They want to build that team. They want to build an effective team.
Sure.
What's been your approach?
Man, yeah. I mean, we all know this. You can't do it alone. It takes a team, and you need a team that you can get the best out of. And you need a team that's gonna be loyal.
Yes.
You need a team that's gonna be loyal to what's happening. And so that was that's just, when you're church planting, there's so many questions you don't have answers for. There's so many things you're trying to figure out. But this was a big question, like, for me, is like, how do you do this? And I felt like, God had put some people in my life who I got to see them do ministry in a kind of a different way. My wife's grandfather is one of my heroes. He passed in 2017, but the way he did ministry was very unique. And so I stole some pages out of his book, saw him do ministry at a very, very high level, with a unique approach. And so for me, I mean, I'm on the podcast, so you get my opinion. Everybody can take it or leave it, man. Yeah. In all honesty, I think that the way you get loyalty out of a team is actually to give loyalty away for free.
Okay, explain that. What does it mean?
And I think that loyalty, I'll just give an analogy. In this particular way, I think that loyalty and authority are the same. So if you have authority, if someone has authority, you don't have to tell people. Mm-hmm. If you have to tell people you have authority, what does that mean? It means they're not aware and They probably don't agree. Like, if you have it, like, we all know that people walk in a room and you just like, you don't even know who they are, but you're like, they lead something.
Right.
Because you just have it and you have that authority and you don't have to tell people. And loyalty in a similar way, if you have to ask for loyalty, what does that mean? You don't got it.
Right.
You don't have it. And the way to get it isn't by asking for it. The way to get it is to give it away. It is to be loyal to the people that God gives you under your leadership. And, here's the thing is, like, does that mean you're always going to get loyalty out of every single person? It doesn't. No. But I think that it gives you the best opportunity to get loyalty out of people. And so you're just in their corner. It just means you're in their corner. I've got a friend who leads multiple organizations, and he said this well, so I just steal it from him. He just says, like, we're all visionary. He says, I just point to the horizon and I tell everybody where we're going. And just never stop, right? I mean, just keep pointing to the horizon, tell everybody where we're going. He said, but then I don't spend any time trying to get people on my page. I spend all of my time trying to get them on their page. And that was a huge shift for me.
It's great.
It was so helpful because my tendency was to just point to the horizon, and then never stop, but then spend all my time trying to get everybody on my page. And he said, I just spend all my time trying to help understand who they are, understand what God is doing in their life, understand where God might be taking them. And here's the deal, their page and my page might go together. So let's make the same book. Like, fantastic. But it may not. Like, and then, it means giving loyalty away for free means that God might bring somebody under your leadership, on your team, maybe even on your staff. They might have a volunteer role, they might have a staff role, they might have paid role, whatever. But for a season, and the only reason they're there is so that you can invest in their life to get them to the next place they're going to go. And so giving loyalty away just means like, you're okay with that. That the ultimate goal isn't that they're loyal to you, it's that they're loyal to Jesus.
Very good, Jason.
And so it's the problem is that this isn't natural for me.
No.
Like, my tendency is like, let's get on my page.
Right.
And I just don't think that serves the Lord best. I don't think it serves them best for sure. And then, I don't actually think it serves me very well when I do that either.
Absolutely.
Because it makes it gives you an opportunity in ministry to do the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Which I think ministry offers that more than any other occupation
absolutely
in the world.
You're absolutely right.
It's just, you can wind up doing the right things for just not awesome reasons. And so that's been the approach for us is we call it being people's biggest fan. Just be their biggest fan. And so there's 3 things that for us organizationally, like as a team, that we've developed that we ask our leaders to do.
Okay, tell us.
And it's love who they are. For the people that are under your leadership, it's learn who they are, love who they are, and tell them who they are.
Very good. Let's break those down.
Yep. So learn who they are. We've got a couple of like habits that we associate with each of these, and let's do one. And we teach everybody to adopt what we call the journalist mindset. So we ask every leader at our church at every level to make question asking an art. Like, get good at asking questions.
Very good.
Like, as leaders, I mean, again, like, this, we do this. We all got something to say. We're going to say it. We're going to say it a lot.
Yep.
We show up to everything in the mode of what can I share? And that's obviously part of the role. You can't give that away or you can't lead. But at the same time, like, it's appropriate to hit the pause button on that and just genuinely be curious about who these people are that God has given us. And you can't do that unless you have the journalist mindset, because journalists are in search of a story. And you can't get a story by sharing one.
That is so good.
You have to ask questions. You got to ask good questions, and you got to ask follow-up questions. And it's we don't have time for the whole story behind it. But I had a moment in my life where God really helped me to take a step of just kind of maturing and growing in my leadership and realizing there is unseen God-given potential in every person. And part of my job is to bring out that potential of the people who are under my leadership. Good. So to borrow that language from before, that's getting them on their page.
Yeah. Is
figuring out who in the world they are, and you got to ask questions. So learn who they are, then love who they are. One of the habits is we call it opening with trust. And so what we mean by that is just giving people opportunities before they think they're ready.
Love that.
Just open with trust. And I stole it from it's Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great and 100 other great worldwide bestsellers. Is he just tells the story of a college professor who gave him the opportunity to teach a class at a point in his life where he never thought that would be possible. And he gave him the chance before he felt he was ready, and it changed his life. So that's when we say love who they are. That's one way that we do that. And then tell them who they are. I mean, we just champion people.
Love that.
Just give them the encouragement and the acknowledgement and the celebration that everybody needs.
All right. I'm going to push back on a little bit for the guys or girls that are listening to this that are leaders going, I want to be that person.
Yeah.
But it is my responsibility to make them better, to call out the flaws, to the blind spots. So where does that fall into those things?
And you're going to have to, because everybody you lead to a degree is a difficult person.
Yes.
And so are you and me.
We all are. Yeah. Yeah. My wife would tell you I am
right.
also.
That's what I was going to say. Is just ask my wife.
Yeah.
That's 100%. So yeah, you're going to have to do that. I think it's about ratio.
Okay.
Some genius did the research and the ratio is 6 or 7 to 1. And it's on the end that's the more difficult for us. It's 6 or 7 celebrations, encouragements, acknowledgments to everyone. Hey, we need to chat.
Very good.
But here's the thing. That's what all of the encouragement and celebration is what allows you. It's what allows you to go, hey, this behavior that I keep seeing, like, let's dial that back to about 0.
Right.
Because just like, and another thing I've found helpful is just assume the best motives.
Yeah.
Stop assuming terrible motives behind their behavior. It will help you out. It will help them out, And so you're going to have to. I think it's about ratio, and I think it's really hard.
It's a bank. Every time you say something positive, you affirm who God has created them to be. You have celebrated who they are.
Yeah.
It's a deposit. When you have those crucial conversations and those correcting moments, which we've all had, and we need them. I need them.
Yes.
They have shaped my life. When I was a youth pastor for 6 years, it was those few conversations where he pulled me in, and he shaped my whole life through those conversations. But those take a massive withdrawal.
Yes.
And if you haven't deposited, you cannot withdraw. I heard it said one time where people have compared their ministry to the way that Jesus walked into the temple and flipped the tables, and whipped, pull out the whips, and he's whipping the table. And they're like, well, that's my approach. Is I see something wrong and I'm going to flip the tables and I'm going to pull out the whip. And what was interesting one time as I was researching that, the passage right before it is where he's sitting on the mountainside looking at Jerusalem, and he weeps over Jerusalem. And the Lord told me one time that I was reading this. He goes, you have no right to whip someone that you haven't wept over first.
Come on.
It's this whole idea of like, there's got to be that investment in them. You want what's best for them, not just because you want to correct them because they hurt you or they hurt the church. So it's so good. I love that loyalty culture. You give it
away.
Before you're never going to get it before you give it.
Yeah.
Anything else off of this that has helped your team? And then I do want to just approach this when you give it and they really hurt you.
Yeah.
How have you guarded your heart?
Man, that's a great question. And I think, it will happen.
Right.
Because just like we're difficult people, they're difficult people, we're broken, they're broken. That's the journey we're all on. And what I try to remind myself is, one, even Jesus had a Judas.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, I said that one time, and then I had a friend who pointed out, and so now I'm just stealing it from my friend. He was like, yeah, he didn't just have a Judas, he had a Peter, who he knew was going to betray him, told him beforehand he was going to betray him, and just didn't give up on him. And this has been for me a really convicting thing, because it's like I'm trying to lead like Jesus, but I have a lot thinner skin than apparently he did.
Yeah.
And so it's just like been a prayer is just like, I don't think my point isn't just have thicker skin, good grief. No, it's really, really hard. So I think you've got to have the right people around you.
Very good.
And you've got to have the people who can do what you talked about a minute ago. You need the people who can tell you the truth about you, because you don't outgrow that.
Right.
That's not a seasonal thing. You need people who can tell you what you don't want to hear about you.
Right.
Always. And so you've got to have those people in your life, but they need to not just be the truth people, they need to be grace people, and they need to be there for when you get beat up and when you get beat down. And you need those people who are in your corner to tell you the tough things, but also to just, be the team and the crew you can lean on when you get hurt. Because you can champion people with all of your heart, and because it's a jacked up world. Yeah, you're still going to get betrayed at some point.
Couple more things before we close this thing out. I've done this for 7 years now, and it's been 7 years of a lot of hard work, a lot of pain.
Goodness, yeah.
I'm sure there's been moments that you're like, man, it was way easier when I was on the road traveling.
Yeah.
I'm sure. How have you stayed encouraged through it all?
Man, that's a great question. It goes back to kind of what I was referencing. is that I have been more intentional in this season of my life than ever to spend time with people who give me life. It's those
Great.
friends. And I mean, I'm not talking about, I realize not everybody can just
Right.
do whatever that I'm about to say, but it's people who are local and they get time in my calendar. They get time in my calendar because it's those friends. It's like, well, what kind of friend is that? It's those friends that it's impossible to be in a bad mood when you're around them.
I love those kind of friends.
Yes. Like, and you got them, I've got them. So
Yep.
like, give them more time.
Yep.
And like, there's some people who, during the toughest seasons, I just started scheduling some more time with people. And I mean, I would drive, a good friend, mutual friend, Greg Ford.
Yep.
I would literally get in the car from Indy. It was a 2-hour and 40-minute drive. And I would just go spend a day with him. He would just let me hang out with him, his team, whatever he had going on. He's like, just be in the meeting. Like, I don't care. Because I just needed,
I love that.
I wanted to quit. And Greg Ford knows how to help me not want to quit. You know what I mean?
So
Seriously.
good.
I mean, this is the CMN podcast. I would come to CMN launch events.
Yep.
Sometimes I didn't even have a role.
Right.
Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm hanging out.
So
Because
good.
these are life-giving people for me. So you're going to have life-taking people around you. Yeah. Yeah. And
All right. Which, by the way, a good evaluation for you that are listening to this is which category do you fall in for your friends?
Oh.
So, like, are you life-giving or are you life-taking? Do people get encouraged being around you? Are they discouraged? Do you build them up? Do you tear them down? I always want to be that life-giving guy.
yeah.
I always want to be that guy that when people get around him, they go, man, I'm better. And Jason, you're one of those guys.
Dude.
Which, by the way, if you don't have that kind of tribe around you, that's what CMN is.
Yes.
We are the Church Multiplication Network. A network means we are a group of people who all want the same thing. We want to build a healthy church in every community, but we know you can't do it alone. You need your friends. You need people in your life. You need funding. You need resources. You need people. And so get connected. If you want to plant a church, you go to iwanttoplantachurch.com. Always make sure you're at our CMN conference. We do that every March. And then if you're part of the Assemblies of God, we have our general council every 2 years. And this upcoming general council, the one and only Jason Patterson, is speaking at the Influence Conference, which is the Monday, right?
believe, yeah.
The Monday before. It's going to be like sold out crowds just to hear him bring the word. No, it's going to be great. But how can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more about what God's doing in your life?
They can connect with me on social media. It's Jason M. Patterson on Facebook, Instagram. You're welcome to email me. It's just jason@parksideindy.com. Get a hold of me. Hang out. You can have my cell phone number. It's 573-291-1497. Hit me up. Here we go.
He just gave you a fake number right here on the thing.
Yeah, that's actually his phone number. But no, that's
all right.
genuinely my cell phone. And
That's
you can have
awesome.
it.
That's the kind of tribe we are. Well, Jason, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe and share this with your friends, with other ministry leaders. We are a church planting movement. We are planting a healthy church in every community. And we just think where there's healthy churches, that's where people are going to encounter the gospel, get discipled, raise the next generation in it, and it works. So we hope you are planting, leading, multiplying, and I'm excited about the future of the church. The best really is yet to come.